Penguin Random House presents Games Indians Play by V. Raghunathan, read by Gaurav Marwa. Foreword. Games Indians Play, Dr. Raghunathan's 12-year-old book, now in its revised edition, is an absorbing, illuminating study of the life and behavior of Indians in the public sphere. It presents an economist's view on what it means to be an Indian today. I consider it a pleasure and a privilege to write the foreword of this book. India has been a free country now for 70 years. Yet, today, many of the goals set during the time of India's independence have not been realized. Our country faces multiple urgent challenges of poverty, corruption, and emerging social crises in health, education, and population growth. 29% of Indians remain below the poverty line, and 27% of the country is illiterate even by our liberal definitions of poverty and literacy. Public infrastructure in India remains either weak or non-existent. A large segment of India's population lacks access to the most basic resources. Over 1/3 of Indians lack access to clean water. Over 1/2 lack proper sanitation or toilet facilities, and 30% of the Indian population remains unconnected by proper roads. Corruption is pervasive in India's institutions. It is estimated by experts that close to 1% of the country's GDP today is lost to bribes alone. In his book, Raghunathan takes a novel perspective on India's myriad economic and social challenges. He asserts that while the resources to address India's problems are available, serious problems persist due to apathy and a lack of public conscience among the Indian population. This, he notes, holds true for Indians across all walks of life, be it the political field, the bureaucracy, the business sector, or the salaried and working class. Raghunathan examines Indian social behavior through game theory and behavioral economics, and he relies particularly on the work of game theorists such as John von Neumann, Oscar Morgenstern, and John Nash. For example, he uses the principle of prisoner's dilemma to analyze the benefit of selfish versus cooperative strategies among individuals, and to discuss the lack of concern among Indians for public infrastructure and facilities. Raghunathan points out that Indians view their fellow citizens, including the authorities, as apathetic or selfish towards public infrastructure, and consequently see maximum benefit in being apathetic as well. The cooperative strategy of maintaining infrastructure for good public use becomes increasingly unprofitable as more and more people are seen as selfish. In such an environment, all people eventually pursue selfish strategies and pursue routes that maximize personal gain at the expense of public good. Such an attitude has led, in the long term, to the present situation of public apathy for law and order, the fractured sense of public good and corruption across all sections of Indian society. Raghunathan gives us a strong appreciation of how and why Indians have cultivated behaviors that are so destructive to the fabric of the larger community. His book is filled with revealing insights on how our social attitudes impact our ability to address the economic and social challenges that face the country. Raghunathan's writing is humorous and filled with anecdotes that are both amusing and thought-provoking. For instance, he notes the irony of having to pay a bribe in order to pay land registration fees in India, essentially paying a bribe to give money to the government. However, this has become so commonplace that most Indians no longer think twice about making the payment. India, thanks to its emerging economic and demographic advantages, has the opportunity to grow into a developed, prosperous economy over the next 3 to 5 decades. However, to enable growth that is both sustainable and equitable, Indians have to recognize the challenges we face as a society and address them with courage and a commitment towards reform. A stronger understanding of ourselves and of our social structures is essential to enable this. Games Indians Play is an intelligent, insightful effort in this direction. N.R. Narayanamurthy. Preface to the first edition. My interest in the question, why are we, Indians, the way we are, originated in Italy, in the lovely city of Milan, to be precise. The question kept popping up in my mind as I started teaching an elective course on game theory and behavioral economics at SDA Bocconi in their Master in International Economics and Management program. While preparing for the course, I went back to a splendid series of articles by Douglas R. Hofstadter in the Scientific American that I had read in the 1980s. In fact, it was one of Hofstadter's wonderfully written essays on prisoner's dilemma that had first awakened my interest in game theory, which, in due course, led me to behavioral economics, and later into using this framework to look into the Indianness of us Indians. While I did attain some nodding familiarity with the works of true game theorists such as John von Neumann, John Nash, and others, to me they came after Hofstadter. I would forever have remained innocent of their works, or at any rate would not have got as interested in their works as I subsequently did had it not been for Hofstadter's easy and highly readable interpretation of game theory. Over the years, the prisoner's dilemma framework helped me understand a wee bit better the characteristics of human rationality, irrationality, egotism, selfishness, antagonism, competition, collaboration and cooperation among us Indians vis-a-vis the rest of the world in countless day-to-day situations. In addition, the works of Daniel Kahneman, Amos Tversky, Richard Thaler, and many others who developed the whole new field of behavioral economics in the last 25 years or so have also helped me get some degree of understanding of ourselves as a people. I have used the material of many of these illustrious researchers and scientists in preparing a window through which to view our Indianness. I am eternally thankful to them for the insights they have provided me into human behavior. In writing this book, I have borrowed occasionally from a few of my own writings from a monthly guest column that I write for the Economic Times. I thank E.T. for their indulgence in allowing me the liberty. Krishan Chopra, the highly exacting executive editor of Penguin India, though he is no longer with Penguin, has been the biggest value adder to this book with his incisive, aggressive comments on draft after draft. Equally valuable has been the contribution of my copy editor, who helped transform a rather flippantly written manuscript into a book in its present form. She has had a hard job, believe me. Meena, my best friend, and also incidentally my wife, has edited the manuscript at every stage, and in doing so has helped improve it substantially. Shweta Parekh, another very dear friend of mine, made some useful and critical suggestions after going through the first draft of the book. I have incorporated many of them. M.P.V. Shenoy, a friend of my late parents and now mine, gave valuable comments in the early stages of the book. Pramod Nair, my erstwhile executive assistant and very dear friend, was, as ever, extravagantly encouraging with his comments on some of the draft chapters. Sameer Barua, my friend of 25 years from IIM Ahmedabad, helped me clarify a problem involving probability theory while dealing...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?